Okay, so like I said, I'm continuing. Okay, anyways, I'm just saying the same thing because guys, look, it is the same thing. All right, um, atheism is a lie. You know, Satan is the god of this world. It's just another way for him to deceive people. Okay, your philosophy is just the same as Taoism, Hinduism, Buddhism. Okay, Jaws, and they all say there's no creation. There was no creation by God. It's all just a circular thing, and it all made itself. And that's essentially what you all are teaching, the same thing. This is totally satanic. God told us in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And so Satan immediately came with a whole bunch of lies. So that's what he does to come against that knowledge of God. And he had to find some way to hide the knowledge of God, which is in the creation. Because he can't really hide God. Because God cannot be hidden. You know, God is so huge. He's invincible. He is immortal. He is, everywhere at once. So there's no way for him to hide God. If people are willing to see him, if willing to hear his voice, willing to read his word and believe what he has, his testament, how he has revealed himself in the earth. But through his prophets, through Israel, in different ways, he's revealed himself to man and even the creation itself. But what he does is try to find philosophies and create ways to lie, which is the big lie that God did not create the world. Okay, that's the big point of all these philosophies. It's just to get people to believe that God did not create the world, and then also God is not a sentient being. He's not the sentient being. He's simply a force. And if he's not sentient and he's not the one who created us, then we don't have any accounting to him because he's just a force. He doesn't exist anyway. And science has found out that the evidence for the universe is that it came from nothing. But just logically, talking about reason, from the beginning of reason, we know that there's no way that nothing came from nothing. Okay? We know that the complexity we see around us has a purpose because it's ordered. Okay? Trees have a purpose. We make our houses with trees, okay? We breathe from trees, okay? We eat vegetables and fruits that come off of trees, They are totally connected to us and we're totally connected to them. They can't live without us, we can't live without them, okay? That shows design. God created a universe where it's all connected together, okay? We are not coming from them. We are not trees. We did not evolve from them. But yet there's a cycle of life that God created. It's obvious, okay? And we have to depend on those trees. They depend on us. God put them there, and we're connected to them. We're connected to the animals. The animals, even their feces, is supposed to fertilize the plants, okay? There's certain animals. Look at the insects that I know they're not animals, but the insects that go and pollinate the plants, okay? And the plants give them food. Everything is connected to each other. It's obvious, okay? It's obvious. Only someone who's bent on hating God because of their own sin, which is the weakness in man, since Adam, this hatred for God, this desire to rebel, this desire to say God doesn't exist. I will not listen to God. I will not listen to what he has to say. That is the satanic nature that was passed down from Adam. It's called the sin nature, the rebelling nature. And you have to fight that. And that's how Satan is causing you to go to hell, because of that nature. So you won't even accept the grace of God in Jesus, even though you know you're a sinner, because your own conscience tells you I'm wrong. I've done wrong in my life. I haven't been perfect. I've lied. I've cheated. Your own conscience condemns you and tells you, I've spoken blasphemy. I've lusted. I've hated without cause. I've done things in my life I shouldn't have done. Your conscience tells you that. That's why you try to do moral things to try and offset that, to make yourself feel better. But your conscience is telling you, which is really the Ten Commandments and the laws of God in your heart that God put in your heart, the moral compass, which is also proof for God, that you have sinned, but yet you ignore that and say, I'm going to rebel against God. Even though he's just in condemning me, I'm going to rebel against God. I'm going to keep going. And even though he says now, if you just accept that you've sinned and believe in what my son did, just believe. That's all he said. He didn't tell you to go to the cross, but just believe in what Jesus did on the cross for you. Just believe that it was true, that he died on the cross for your sins and rose from the dead. Well, I'll believe anything but that. I'll believe philosophies. I'll believe that there is no God. I'll believe that I made myself. I'll believe I am God. I'll make my teachers in school God. Because now you feel this false freedom that I don't have to worry about accountability to God. I don't have to worry about if I go to hell, because I have, in my own mind, I am God, and it's circular reasoning. I am, therefore I am. Only God is because he is. Only God says I am that I am. He is the only one that is sufficient within himself, who is self-existent. But you are not God. You need God. He does not need you, but he wants you, but he does not need you. But atheists, you have been taught that you don't need God because you're self-sufficient, that you are yourself. So in other words, you really are deifying yourself. You're saying that I am all that I am because of who I am and because I believe in who I am. But you're not God. You're not self-sufficient. You needed someone to wipe your behind when you were a kid, just like anybody else. You needed somebody to feed you. You needed someone to clothe you. God had to give you parents for that to happen. You had to be born through a complex situation. Your parents may have decided to consummate, but they didn't put all those equipment in their own body. They didn't put the intestines, they didn't put the womb and the sperm in their own body in order for them to be able to have you. God had to put the sperm and the stuff in the womb in there and all those things so that you could even be able to exist. Okay? And it goes beyond that. Spiritually, God is the very power that holds this universe together. In Colossians chapter 1, Jesus Christ, who is God in flesh, who became flesh, he is the very power that holds the whole universe together, my friend. He's the one who gives your DNA power to exist, your atoms. Again, there's no reason, no knowledge, nor understanding against God. Everyone will find out. They're going to be on one side or the other. All this debating will not exist. Right now, there's all this confusion, anger, whatever. People fighting so vehemently against Christianity, against God, against the gospel. A lot of them blaming God for the Crusades and all these evil things that Satan has done to malign God's name. Really, but because they don't believe in the devil, they just keep. But they don't. It's so funny how nobody really ever says the devil did it. They always can say God did it. Isn't it funny that if you say there's no God, well, why isn't it the same thing just to say the devil did it? And we know that the devil's evil. If you don't believe in God, why do you blame him so much? And why does his name come up? Doesn't that show you that there is a devil? The fact that you have the motivation to say God did it. God did it, and to blame God, even though you say you don't believe in either one, but you say you blame God as opposed to you blaming the devil. Well, why? Why? Why really do you do that? Because Satan wants to blame God. And because you're not serving Jesus Christ, his spirit is not in you, God is not in you, you automatically blame God. Because it's the nature of sin to hate what is holy. And even though you don't understand this hatred that you have, it's just natural to you to hate God in your sinful state because your nature hasn't been changed by God. But if you come to Jesus Christ and say, Jesus is Lord, I believe Jesus died on the cross for your sins and rose from the dead, you will be saved. Now, a lot of y'all don't understand what I'm saying. You just sound like foolishness. Bottom line, God exists. Atheism is a lie. Satan created it just to make you go to hell. And every person on this planet. And it's not just you personally. He just threw out it's like if you threw out a net in general and tried to see how many fish you could catch with this lie. That's the way Satan is. He put out all these philosophies, religions, Hinduism, Buddhism, Muslims, whatever, Mormonism. All these things are just in different nets he put out there to catch people. That's why Jesus said that we as Christians ought to be fishermen of men so we can save them and catch them for life, not for death.